Hello, Elkhart County. Happy Monday. My positive parents out there. I hope you guys are finding balance in your lives, that for all of the difficult, uncertain things that you are finding life-giving, enjoyable things to balance them out. That is what our kids need, that there will be difficult things, there will be uncertain things, but that there are also positive things, and that will give them the resilience they need to get through. So I hope that that's happening for you. So for everybody who tuned in last week, thanks for that. And there was some interest in this discussion of escalation traps that we talked about last week. So last week we talked about it in terms of our relationships with partners, spouses, people we're co-parenting with, how to avoid that escalation trap where one person gets worked up and angry and the other person ends up giving in. And I mentioned that this also happens between parents and children. So I thought we could talk a little bit more about that, because this is a really big deal. This is something that a lot of people mention when they say, boy, I really need help with such and such a thing. My kids just don't want to listen. They won't listen until I've said it 10 times, until I've, threatened them with whatever, or till I'm really angry. So this is just something that happens. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and explain what happens. So we kind of separate, and I think I mentioned this too, we kind of separate this into two types of escalation traps. One is the parent escalation trap, and one is the child escalation trap. So the child escalation trap is pretty familiar, I think. It tends to be whining, it can be tantrums. And the way this is learned basically is that a child wants something often, or sometimes doesn't want to do something. And you say, so let's say, can I please have a cookie? Can I please have an apple? And I say, no, we're going to eat. And they say, please, give me an apple. And I say, okay, fine. I guess you can have an apple. It's not that big a deal. Fine. So then I give them the apple. So with all of these, the question we're going to be asking ourselves is, what is the child learning, or how do children learn? Or what is the parent learning? How do parents learn? So in this case, what the child learned is, when I hear a no, maybe if I try a little bit harder, I'll get a yes. Okay. So then you can imagine the next time the child hears a no, they're going to try that. They're little scientists. They know what they're doing. So the next time they're going to try that again and say, we'll whine a little bit longer. And this time, mom continues to say no, but I'll keep trying. So this is how that behavior kind of builds up over time. Or, can I go ride my bike? I say no. Child said, please, 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 please. Some kids are kind of smart about it, come up with some really good arguments. So there are a variety of different ways this can express itself. Well, incidentally, I've been for a long time citing a study I heard somewhere, and I need to find it, saying that children in all languages, in all countries, whine at the same pitch, that there is something about that exact sound, and maybe the musicians out there could help me out with what sound it is, but whatever it is designed to get into our heads. And that's effective. So I did kind of try to look it up today, and instead what I found is evidence that a study that showed that parents, non-parents, a variety of adults were asked to perform basic tasks while listening to whining or while listening to other sounds, and they performed much worse on the things they were trying to do when there was a whining sound in the background, like a child whining, basic math problems and stuff like that. So this stuff is really hard to combat. It's tough stuff. So that's the child escalation trap. So what do we do about it? So there are two major things that we can do to prevent it. And the first, and this is probably one of the most helpful parenting tips I ever got, was just think about it before you say yes or no. Triple P on the little tip sheets, it says, consider whether the request is reasonable. So if I'm making dinner, child comes to me and says, can I have an apple? If I'm going to end up giving in and say, fine, just take an apple, I might as well just say that right there. If I'm going to say no, I want you to wait for dinner, I better be prepared to follow through with that and to deal with the whining and to deal with it. So take that extra second. You can even say to the child, I need to think about that for a second, okay? Then you can come back to them and say, I thought about it. Yes, you can have an apple. We're probably going to be another hour. Or you can say, we'll have an apple after dinner, we'll have a cookie after dinner. You know, you don't have to give them a yes or a no. You don't have to, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to give them a yes, but just take that minute to think about it. Because if you're going to say, if you're going to end up giving it anyway, just say yes. Otherwise, you're teaching them to ignore you no. And if you're going to say no, sorry, then you need to be prepared. That'll have given you some time to be prepared to follow through and not give in to the whining, to that sound that gets into our heads. So that is the first thing to do, is just to give yourself that extra second or two or whatever you need to decide what you're going to do to follow through. That is the first way to break that escalation trap. Okay. And then the second way has to do with this following through. So if you say no cookie, or you can have a cookie after dinner, you know, whatever it is, and they start that whining, be prepared, first of all, to not give it to them, but second of all, to have some other kind of a consequence that helps you deal with it. Now, one consequence can just be ignoring. That is a legitimate, we call it planned ignoring. It has to be complete ignoring. You can't say, I'm ignoring you, stop that, I'm not paying any attention, because that is not truly ignoring them. But you can just pretend that's not happening. If you have it in you to continue making dinner, ignore what's happening, go for it. If you have a good timeout system or a consequence system, or you'd like to work with us to develop one, then use that. Say, you know, you can use your please stop whining, you can wait till after dinner, and then if they don't, then follow through with something. So that way the child, what they really need to know is that when we say yes, we say yes, we mean yes. When we say no, we mean no, and that there is no point in going through the whole escalation trap. So those are a couple of tips on breaking the child escalation trap. The other escalation trap is the parent escalation trap. So that's this thing where I can say, like, my kid just doesn't listen to me until I've told him 16 times to go take the trash out. So what I'm doing there is I'm maybe from downstairs yelling, hey, can you go take the trash out? Or I'm interrupting in the middle of something, or I'm just not prepared to follow through. I'm saying, hey, go do that thing. The child's not doing it. The child is learning to ignore me. Excuse me. And it's important for me to, until I get to the point where I'm furious, I say, that's it. I'm taking the game away. You go take the trash out. We're both mad. We're both upset. And it's turned into a much bigger deal than it needs to be. So, sorry, I made myself some notes here, so I just wanted to check with that. So a couple of ways to break this. Again, this is about follow through. So what we're saying is, what I'm learning in that situation is my kid won't do it until I yell. So we really need to break that cycle. And in Triple P, we say you never give an instruction more than once or twice. And it's not just up to you whether it's once or twice. There is a strategy for this. It's been studied. So we say a start instruction is something you're asking the child to start doing. Please go take out the trash. Please go take the dog for a walk. Please put on your shoes. We're going somewhere. Please go take a bath. It's time for bed. You know, whatever it is. We give an instruction like that twice. It gives the child a chance to kind of finish up what they're doing and do the next thing. So we give it twice, waiting 5 seconds and standing close to them. A stop instruction often has a little bit more of a safety issue and urgency involved with it. Stop pulling the cat's tail, stop jumping on the bed, stop running in the road, stop putting your hand on the hot stove, you know, whatever it is. So we're going to tell them what to stop doing and what to do instead. So stop pulling the cat's tail, pet the cat nicely, stop running toward the road, come back toward me, you know, whatever it is we want them to do. And we only give an instruction like that once. We really want to get out of this habit of saying, stop hitting the cat, stop hitting the cat. I told you to stop hitting the cat. And then if you don't stop, you'll get a timeout. Or if you don't stop, I'm going to put the cat outside or whatever. The child then learns to wait until they get that threat. Or I'm going to count to 3. Okay, now they're just waiting, like they kind of know the system. What we want to do is make it so that when we say something, it means something. So if I say, please go put on your shoes, we're going to school. I wait a few seconds, I'm right there. I say again, please go put on your shoes, we're going to school. If the child does it, that's great. We all know we're going to praise the child, right? Descriptive praise, we're going to get there. If they don't do it, I'm going to follow through right away with a consequence or a timeout. I need to be prepared to act. I need to have my plan ahead of time, and I need to be prepared. I might even, if I know this is consistently a problem, that this always happens with putting on the shoes when we're about to go out, I need to make a plan ahead of time so I have a little bit of extra time to follow through with my consequence. Because otherwise, if I'm pressed for time, then I just say, oh, I'll just pick you up and put you in the car and we'll put them on there. And then we're all upset and everybody's upset. So I'm going to start planning ahead to make time to follow through with the consequence for the child not putting on the shoes so that we can go to the car so that we can go. Okay. So it involves some planning ahead, knowing how you're going to handle it. It involves being prepared to give that instruction only once or twice, not more, and then following through. Because again, how do children learn? How do they learn to take us seriously? The words themselves don't mean a whole lot without the actions. So they need to know, when I do it, I get praised. When I don't do it, there's this kind of a consequence. Now, I said we don't threaten, if you don't do it, I will take you to timeout. But we can have that discussion ahead of time. So the way we're going to start handling this, when everybody's calm and everything's fine, is when you don't listen to me, I'm never going to tell you more than twice. And when you don't listen to me, there's going to be a consequence. And I'm not going to warn you at the time because you know what you need to do. Then the child knows, and then in that moment, you can just follow through and make your words meaningful. Okay, so those are the escalation traps. Those are some tips on avoiding them. A word to the wise. These things usually get worse before they get better. So let's say you're in a pattern where every time your daughter wants to go ride her bike, whatever, you say no, she kind of starts to throw a little bit of a fit. Excuse me. You say, okay, fine, just go. Okay, that's going to take a while to break because in the past it's worked to throw that little bit of a fit. So when you start saying no, she's going to try a little bit harder, escalate a little bit more, and things are going to get a little bit more elevated. So just be prepared for that. It's actually called the extinction burst. You can kind of track it, like things get a little bit worse. And then once they sort of realize this isn't going to work, it tends to get better very quickly. So I would say never try for less than 2 weeks. Like if things are not getting better in 2 weeks, then come back to us and we'll discuss it more. But give it a try for 2 weeks. That's sometimes how long it takes to turn a behavior around. Sometimes less than that, depending on parent and the child and how long it's been and the circumstances and all that kind of thing. But so just give it a good shot of 2 weeks and see how that goes. And we'd love to hear from you. So yes, life will get calmer. Avoiding some of these can really take a lot of the tension out of family life. We'd love to hear from you how it's going. We have a lot more tips and a lot more specifics on how to do this kind of give the instruction, wait 5 seconds, follow through. We also have a really, I will admit, I never liked timeout as a concept. Triple P has a timeout that I do like. It's a little bit different. I actually kind of wish they would name it something different. It's very effective. I've seen it work extremely effectively for people. I've tried it. So if you would like to know more about how to, there's not always a consequence available in a situation. If you'd like to know more about using a quiet time or a timeout, contact us and we can walk you through that. Maybe we'll make that a theme someday. So good to see you. If you'd like any more help, you can always call us at 574-226-0160, info@tripplepelkhart.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. I think that's all the places. We also have a little mini micro website right now that we could get you if you're interested in that. Yeah, and be in touch. And we'd really appreciate if you would share these videos. That's what helps us get the word out there that good parents seek parenting support, try to do the best they can, find out more information, more advice. I'm always looking for more help. And by sharing these videos, we're just kind of getting that word out there that this is what good parents do, seek help and support each other. So stay well and enjoy your parenting journey this week.